Hello and welcome everyone to episode 1 of Fireside Chats. I am your host, PapaJBO, and I am here with your co-host.
DaddyDriz.
Yes, and what are we going to be talking about today for our very first episode on this Fireside Chats podcast?
Well, for our very first episode, we are discussing content creation. Content creation is something me and Josh have discussed quite a lot throughout these last few months. We've both gone through our journeys of trying to create YouTube channels. Some of us have gotten farther than others. Josh has had a fun start into the Twitch community, streaming. How often do you stream, Josh?
See, that's one of the problems, is currently I'm not very consistent. So I try and stream 3 to 4 times a week, but, that's one of the main things we're talking about is the challenges of what comes with this, and clearly starting off, that is one of the challenges we face. But you already brought up the fact that one of us has gotten a little further with YouTube channel and that stuff.
Yes.
But what is that initial challenge for you? What is it for you that is causing you to struggle with actually just making the channel and figure out what it is exactly you want to do? Is there something like specific in your mind that is causing that?
I would say for me, it all starts with, well, one, drive and motivation. That's key.
Mm-hmm.
You need to just want to get your content out there, or else it's never going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say another issue is the skill development, because believe it or not, there is a lot of skill that you need to develop to be a good content creator. There's a lot of editing skills. There's a lot of, just public speaking, sort of like enthusiasm, energy, edits. Yeah, well, I already said edits, but there's a lot of skill that goes into it. And part of that, part of the curve of getting over that is understanding that at the beginning, I kind of suck. I kind of suck at creating content.
You're right. I feel like so many people get into content creation or want to get into it with this idea that this is going to be easy. I'm going to make money off of this. I'm going to have so much fun just doing this just because I can make money and I can sit here and play games. And that's like all that's going through their mind is stuff like that rather than...
Which is the fun part.
It is the fun part, but there's so much more to it. And now that I'm actually spending a lot more time and trying to really focus on this, because this is something that I actually want to do with my life and something I want to spend time on. I've spent the time looking at all the things that go into it, and it's a lot. It is very challenging to become a really good content creator and to release stuff that you can be proud of. And so many people miss that part of it. They just think, oh, I can just hit start streaming or start recording, upload it, and it'll be fine. That's not going to work because of just the sheer amount of people who are also doing that. And odds are you're not the best. You're not the funniest. You're none of these things. So, like, it's hard to sort of figure out where exactly are you going to fit into it all, which is sort of how you have to find your own spin on things and figure out the way that you like to do things. It's sort of it's a difficult undertaking, but for me it's been worth it.
Yeah, I like what you said there about putting your own spin on it, because I definitely went into it not knowing at all what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't. I'm still in this process of trying to figure out what is my take. Like everyone who's gotten like really successful in social media platforming, okay, not everybody, but most people, it's because they tried to do something unique or they got into a big opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've had so much difficulty trying to figure out like what is the twist that I want to do to make my content more unique.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that is also like defining the identity of my content. Like I still haven't figured out basic things like what I want on my banner or what I want my thumbnail to be, or like what I want my what do you call it? Your like main little image, the circular image,
Your logo.
my logo. Yeah,
Hmm.
I like, and all of that is part of building this identity. And I realized like, oh, I don't, I have to work to build that identity. I
Hmm.
haven't figured it out yet, and I've started to realize lately that part of it is just I need to put content out. I
Hmm.
need to start without an identity, and I need to start building an identity slowly.
That's so true. I feel like so many people think they need to have everything planned out from day one. You don't.
Mm,
Sometimes it really is. And I mean, this is the hardest part for me, and it still is just pressing that go live or that start recording button.
mm-hmm.
That is so difficult to do because I'm like, I don't know what I want to do today or what I want to play or what I want to be. Because, I mean, it took me a while to figure out one, just the name PapaJBO. I went through like 30 different names. Jay Stingray, there was Magic Kraken, there was Jabo Plays, there were hundreds of other names that I went through trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And just none of them hit until I realized like one thing with what I do and who I am is I am, despite being younger, I am someone who lots of our friends and people will go to for advice and to talk to and to find like comfort, which is where I was like, you know what, PapaJBO. That actually sounds pretty good because I like Jabo and I feel like this is who I want to be. I want to be someone who brings out a different type of content where I'm not good at video games. I'm not good at a lot of things, but
Yeah.
I'm more than
Well, you're
happy to.
pretty. You're better than me. I'll tell you
Okay,
that much.
okay. We won't argue that one.
I,
But like,
I will agree, though. Sorry to cut you off.
no, you're
You
fine.
are a nurturing spirit, so you Papa is a wonderful, wonderful name to have.
But like, it's it ended up being I stopped trying to be something I'm not. I
Hmm.
know I'm not a Shroud or one of the top players in any game. I'm never going to be. I
Hmm.
know I'm not horrible, but I'm not fantastic. And that's
Yeah.
okay. I'm not someone who's going to speed run games. I'm not any of that. But I know what I can provide, and that is the fact that, yeah, I'm kind and I want to give. I want to do things for people in this community. I want to be able to show people that there are nice ways of doing things. There are people who will listen and people who will do things and just have a friendly community. That's really what I want. And once I realized like that's just who I am, so many things fell into place. If I was like, oh, there are so many things that I can do with this that I need to work on, and I am working on, that are just going to take time.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you found your identity as you were, and obviously identity exploration is something that, oh my God, no one ever, you never get to the end of it, but part of this social media experience, or content creator experience, I'd
Hmm.
say,
Hmm.
is really figuring out that identity. Because if you're not comfortable in your own skin, people will see that.
Hmm.
People will pick up like, oh, there's like an act kind of going on.
Hmm. Which, like, people aren't going to come to Twitch or YouTube to watch someone be a bad actor.
Hmm.
That's what TV is for. That's why we watch that. That's why we go see the bad movies. That's like there's no reason to come watch ads on Twitch or on YouTube or anything to watch someone just not be true to themselves and not
Oh yeah.
fully enjoy what they're doing. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's not it. So I think that's the first thing that really like clicked for me is when I realized I just need to be me. I need to stop
Hmm.
trying to be something else. That's and don't get me wrong, I'm not big by any means. I'm starting to grow, which makes me very happy, and I'm
Oh
learning as I
yeah.
grow. But it's only because I'm now like, this is who I want to be, and I'm not going to change that. Like, If my perspective or my mindset changes at some point, okay, maybe my brand or my identity, whatever it is, does start to change down the road, and hopefully people will learn and grow with me. But for now, I'm not going to just put on a show for people because I think it's what they want to see, because no one wants to see bad acting.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I'd say part of this whole experience for me has been, it's really just like following the passion, and like part of the passion is self-exploration. Part of it is like, you know, like what emotions am I experiencing from this? Like we were talking about earlier, if you don't find joy in the content creation, then you're never gonna get anything done. Like nothing is gonna get out there. And I've been doing a lot of like, I'm a very creative person. I love creating things. I love exploring and building skills. And I'd say just as much as with learning, I don't know, music, with learning art, with learning writing, which all of those I've tried at some point in my life with limited success. Content creation is like this process of like trying to build a skill, and if you don't find joy in it, there's a lot of difficulty to that.
It's this whole idea of, if you're not having fun, why are you still doing it? Like, work is one thing. Like, obviously, you're not always going to enjoy your job. It sucks, but it's a reality of like, I want to be able to enjoy my job every day, but there are some days where it just sucks, and that happens. But like, if you want to do something because you genuinely want to do it, then you should have that happiness and that joy every time you do it. But if you're sitting down like, oh my God, this is such a hassle, this is a pain, why is this so difficult? You shouldn't be doing it. Like, that is putting so much stress on yourself, and you're going to hold yourself to expectations that you're never going to meet because you're not happy. And I think happiness is definitely one of those key points in content creation of, if people see you're not enjoying something, like, it's obvious. You can put on that show all you want, but at the end of the day, people can see it.
I will say, though, what I have noticed of all the biggest content creators, what they tend to say is eventually it does become a job, right? Once you're making enough money at something, it does become a job, and you're not always going to be happy 24/7, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's true even for any hobby, for any art form, for any skill you're trying to build. You're not going to be happy 100% of the time going through it. So there is like a little bit of, well, I guess you could call it like determination or diligence you have to exhibit in order to get through those hard points in content creation and in any skill, really. But it's like you said, the foundation is the enjoyment. If you enjoy it, you will do it. You will continue to do it, and you will grow from it. And sometimes you'll fail. That's another thing we've been learning lately. There's a lot of failure to learn to growth and development.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
failure
a lot.
Is like the catalyst for developing, because if you never fail, you are never going to learn. Like,
oh yeah,
that's
I mean, just look
fact.
at my intro, Josh.
That was really funny.
We'll clip that in there. We'll clip that in there.
Just, you can put it right there. But like, if you don't fail at something, and this goes for everything, not just content creation or different things, but anything in your life, if you don't fail, like, the joy of success is never anywhere, or winning in anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just an expectation. When you fail, and trust me, I mean, both of us know we have failed at multiple things multiple times in multiple areas of our life.
My whole life
is a failure. That's basically like all I do anymore, is just sort of fail over and over. But like, at that point, when we find that thing and we do something, and I'll be honest, even if I get 2 people watching my stream, that's enough for me. I did something and I'm happy. If I'm doing something wrong, or like I've seen where I failed in the past with this, and honestly, a lot of people would probably still consider that I'm failing because I'm not growing as fast as I should or whatever, despite the fact that I sort of want to take my time with this so I can do it right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to continue learning because I am going to continue messing up while I make content. There's going to be things that I put out that aren't as good as they should be.
Yeah.
And that's okay because I will learn not only from people telling me, hey, your content sucks, but also from the fact like, wow, as I learn new things from just spending more time in different programs, streaming more, doing all these things, I will continue to learn, which is also a motivator for me. Like, I want to learn more because I want to be good at this and I want to just enjoy more and share that enjoyment with other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should preface, we're both nerds.
Oh, huge nerds. Oh my
We're both
gosh.
nerds, so I would like to point out I'm a huge nerd of history, and in every successful individual I've ever read about, and every single one of their experiences, they are defined first not by their success, but by their failures. And I think that's kind of our philosophy that we've been going into with this is like, we just need to try, right? We know everything's not going to be great. It's not going to be 100% fun all the time. Sometimes there's going to be hardships, but that's kind of the challenge we want to embrace into. Because what's the point of not embracing challenge?
Exactly. Like, obstacles are a part of life. And I think, I mean, a great example of what you said about historical figures. Look at George Washington. We remember him as our first president and being this amazing general who led us to victory over the British.
Well, some of us do.
Yes. But he lost. Before the Revolutionary War, his greatest, like, everyone knew him for losing. That is what he did. But then he learned, he overcame, and he helped lead our country to independence, which is that's huge.
He not only lost, he got his ass beat.
I think that's all right. But yeah, he got his men slaughtered.
Oh yeah. I remember I read a whole thing about his actual like tactics. It was during the French and Indian War. For anyone who wants context clues, and he was put in charge of a British force. Ironically, very interesting. It's interesting to think about. Like, you never know where your future's gonna end up. This man's wanted to be like a British army officer, and then he would end up commanding an army against them. You just never know where you're gonna end up in life. Yeah, I mean, he made mistake after mistake, and during the process, he thought he was doing the right things. He thought he knew what he was doing, and that's just a part of life, you know. You make huge mistakes, even when you think that you're doing the right thing. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you can think you're doing the right thing, and it might just take that one person to go like, "Hey, this isn't the way you should be doing this," or like, "This is my perspective on something," and that's something you and I have discussed in detail. Is just perspective and really like taking that step back and trying to look at it from a different point of view. I think that can be incredibly beneficial when it comes to content creation and when it comes to growing, not just as a content creator, but as a person, is if you can step back and like, I've done it with PapaJBO. I take a step back and I go, is this me? Am I being completely real? Am I lying to anyone, myself, anything right now? And most of the time now, I say no. Like, this is me just being me, and I'm happy with that. But there are still times where I'm like, you know, maybe that was a little too much. Maybe I went too far with that. I could fix this. I'm happy that I have that opportunity to do that. I just think so many people, especially when they're getting into content creation, struggle to think of how to look at things just from different perspectives and really just recognize, like, just because I think it's great doesn't mean everyone will think it's great.
Yeah. It's funny how perspective is huge. It's massive. Like if the way you choose to look at things can change so much of one how you react to it, and two just how whether or not you'll be able to perceive how other people are reacting to it. So like especially I've talked about this, with I try to be a very creative person. In most of my creative endeavors, whenever I look back at what I've made, whatever it is, whether it's art, whether it's writing, sometimes you look back and you're like really proud, but you can go to the exact same thing, and if you have just like that tiny change in perspective, you can immediately just be like, oh, this is horrible. Or it could be the opposite way. It could be you thought it was great, and then or you thought it was horrible at first, and then you realize, oh wait, this isn't as bad as I thought. Perspective can change so much, and the power of perspective is very valuable in any not just content creation. I think power of perspective is valuable in every social situation, in every skill based, every even jobs, just your whole life. Perspective can change the way you literally experience some things in life.
That it 100% can. And I
Yeah.
mean, that goes back to discussion about obstacles and challenges. It is a challenge to look at things from a different perspective. It's that idea of walking in someone else's shoes, of like, it's hard. Someone's shoes may not fit you, so if you have to walk in them, it's going to be painful. It will be difficult, but it's worth it because you learn so much, and you understand that this obstacle is going to make you better. Understanding how to overcome that block, understanding how to just learn and adapt is such a wonderful skill to have, especially
Dang,
when you're
look
just
at
trying to make things.
sounding like Marcus Aurelius over here.
I did, in fact, read Meditations the other day, and it was fantastic.
Hey, fantastic
Yes.
historical callback. The Meditations is for anyone who doesn't know, The Meditations is a philosophical book written by a Roman emperor back in like 300 AD. But he didn't intend it as a philosophical book. It's literally just his journals. It's just like
Yep.
his thoughts, and it is brilliant. It's so interesting. Absolutely worth a read.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
it's
his perspective is brilliant.
it is very much steeped in his beliefs of Stoicism, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't fully believe with all, or I don't fully believe in all of Stoicism, but
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
philosophical belief.
exactly.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius makes some really, really great points
Mm-hmm.
that are a lot of looking within yourself, and recognizing what's around you and how to adapt to that and how to change yourself for the
Mm-hmm.
better, not just accepting what you are, but becoming who you want to be.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it should be. And like a lot of that is accepting, like, this is where I am right now, but this is where I want to be. So
Mm-hmm.
what am I going to do to get there?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. Um, and you and me are very philosophical. We talk about some ridiculous stuff.
That we do.
we like I feel like we're two people who are always trying to self-improve.
Hmm.
Um, Marcus Aurelius, phenomenal call out. I believe one of his, yeah, as kind of you said, you were talking about obstacles earlier.
Hmm.
One of his famous quotes is the obstacle is the way. He believed basically like to grow in life, just constantly face your obstacles. Which, to be fair, can be a little toxic at some points. Like there are some obstacles that are really just stressful and tear you down,
Hmm.
but it is a powerful philosophy, and especially a lot. I've seen this resurgence of a lot of hardcore businessmen or like philanthropers or whatever you
Hmm.
want to call them have been going to his work, and I think it's an interesting philosophy that's worth exploring.
And I mean, it's so valuable, especially with our topic of content creation. When something fails, you can learn, well, why did it fail? What did I do wrong? And if you're going to try again, which you should try again, don't do that again. Find something else that you're like, okay, maybe this will work for me. How about I try this or this? And you adapt to what you think is going to work for you. Because what works for us, what works for me, what works for Anthony, that's not going to work for everyone. And that's okay, because that's why there's different types of content. I mean, there's so many different mediums. I stream. We're doing this podcast now, which I'm so happy to be able to do with you. There's writing, there's art, social media, there's music, all these different things that people can learn and start doing. But you're going to fail. Like, almost no one on the first try gets it right.
Yeah. I 100%. Once again, going back to I love history. I'm going back to some historical figures. One of my favorite historical figures is Teddy Roosevelt. And one of his, I'm trying to remember the exact quote. He has a wonderful quote on the significance of failure, in which he says, like, I believe the quote is, "It's hard to fail, but it's much worse to never have tried to succeed." You know, and he's a very interesting character, not a perfect character, but Theodore Roosevelt's ideas on hard work and, you know, success and trying and failing, I love. And I once again, I try to live by, like, these figures throughout history, because they have had all these experiences, way more experiences than I'll ever have, you know, collected all together. They have done more things and gone through more hardships than I could ever imagine going through.
Exactly.
But that's particularly why I enjoy them. And I think this goes back to our whole perspective things. I like changing my perspective, and I like seeing other people's perspective, because I can gain so much knowledge from it, you know? And that might not necessarily mean that, like, I know, like, when I come down to the moment where I need to use that knowledge, I'll be able to. But the fact of having that, of knowing, like, oh, okay, so this is why, you know, we go through these things. Everyone else has gone through these things. People go through hardships. We don't always succeed. You know, these are really valuable ideas to learn from and utilize in a modern context.
Exactly. I mean, learning from example. Learn from people who have done it before. And, I mean, you put me onto this. Who was it? Ludwig? I think it was Ludwig.
Yes. Phenomenal content creator.
A fantastic video he made about how to become a streamer, how to be successful and stuff like this. And one of his points, which is one thing we talked about, I know, on our walk the other day, his point of, like, grab a pen and pencil and write these things down. And one of them was write 5 creators that you want to emulate. Right? 5 people who you look up to and think that you can take something from and you can learn from and you can adapt it to yourself. And I did that. I know this is something we talked about. After our walk, I want you to know I came straight home and I watched that video. And
That's amazing.
I have a 2-page Google Doc now of all the notes I took, the things that I wrote down for myself, for my goals.
Brilliant.
But, like, that's
a phenomenal video. Anyone who
really
sees this podcast, I'd recommend watching it. If you're interested in content creation, it is phenomenal. And yes, have a pen and pencil by you.
If you are watching this on YouTube, I will link it down in our about or info thingy, whatever it's called, just so you guys can go to that, because it really is. It's so useful, and it helped me start identifying my brand way more, because I had an idea before then, but afterwards I was like, you know what, I really want to take the time, I want to work on this, and I want to make it something that I can be proud of. And watching that video, I mean, I already had an idea of what it was going into it from our discussion, but it opened my eyes to really recognize that like there are so many misconceptions that people have about creating content. Like, I mean, just look at the amount of people who are partnered. It's like 0.06% of all streamers.
Mm-hmm.
That is so few people. That is one in every, I actually don't know the math. I'm not even going to bother trying to do it. You know, that's not my strong suit. But 0.06% of people have even made it to partner. And that's not even like making it. That's just you're more recognized by Twitch. And I have Twitch affiliate, which really isn't that much. I'm assuming that's like 15-20% of creators have that. It might be less, but I don't know. But like, you have to take the time and you have to put in the work for yourself, and you have to get rid of these misconceptions of like, it's easy, or I know I can get big quick. I have something other people don't have. Well, if you do have that something, show it. But the odds are other people have it, because there are 8 billion plus other people on this planet. There's probably someone who can do what you do and do it better. So you need to figure out how to adapt it.
But will that person have the same motivation of drive to get it into content, to create that content, edit that content, to post that content?
Exactly.
I think that's the determining factor in the end.
That is if you're not going to have the motivation and you're not going to try, don't bother. There's no point in doing it. If you're just going to upload a video every once in a while for fun just because you want to, go right ahead. But if you want to make something of this and you want to be a content creator, no matter what area you're in, if you're not willing to take the time out of your day, like I work a lot of hours every week on top of going to school full time.
Dude, you're a busy guy.
Exactly. And I make the time though because I want to. On top of that, I get to spend my time with my friends like you. I want to be able to go for our walks, have our discussions, and just enjoy some time to myself and have a social life. But there are other things that you have to sacrifice to be able to say, I'm going to sit down today. When I did my 8-hour stream, I told people, sorry, I can't hang out today. I have something going on. Or sorry, I actually took off of work that day because I knew it was something I wanted to do because I was so happy I got affiliate. If people aren't willing to do something as little as that, they're just stop trying. Like you have to be willing. You have to have some form of drive and some desire. Other than I want to make money. It has to be what you want.
Yeah, it's got to be what you want in the end. And you also have to be willing to understand that it's like many, many years like to even start getting anywhere. Like
almost no one grows overnight. It's almost impossible. Like so few people ever have. And
hey Josh, are you having cutting Discord issues, or is my audio fine?
No, you're fine. I'm not having
okay,
am I cutting?
Yeah, you're kind of
That's weird.
A little choppy. That's okay. We'll move on.
I'll just move past that. But yeah, I mean, this idea that you can get big quick is just it's toxic. That is a very toxic belief.
And I think it's because people see when people get big quick, but they see it from an outside perspective. They don't see it from the inside of how many hours that person could have actually put in. Like, if you go to any content creator, like really successful content creators page, and you look through all their videos, I guarantee you that is not all the videos that they have ever done. That they have deleted a ridiculous amount of content that they weren't proud of or didn't think was good enough for their current place in content creation. Or they deleted old pages that you'll never know about.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it looks like from the outside. It looks like this thing of just, oh, you get lucky. The algorithm spreads your content to everyone. It genuinely is something that has statistics involved, it has skills involved, it has practice over and over and over again. Practice makes perfect to finally create the content that you are likely watching.
Yeah, and again, people will probably use this, well, you guys aren't big or anything like that. Well, that's not exactly the point here. The point is
Hmm.
we're doing this because we are learning and growing, and we're learning
Exactly.
from mistakes we've made. But I mean, look at, and my favorite example is, look at Markiplier. That man has
Hmm.
been on YouTube now for over 10 years.
Oh
And
my
look at where
gosh.
he is now. But
He
he
is wonderful.
yeah,
I love
I
Markiplier.
love that man with all my heart. But he dropped everything in his life to pursue YouTube.
Hmm.
He dropped out of school, which I mean, he was in a very hard degree program, but he
Yeah.
realized like this is what I want to do and I know that I can do it. So I'm going
Yeah.
to. And in the beginning, I guarantee you it wasn't easy. I mean, he
No.
didn't have a ton of viewers. It was in YouTube's early days,
Hmm.
but he still did it. And
Yeah.
look at him now. I mean, now he makes his own shows on YouTube, which is awesome
Hmm.
because he put in the work, he put in the time, and his content is
Oh,
fantastic. It is
and
so
I
good.
I guarantee you, he's putting in to make those shows. He's putting in even more work every
Hmm.
single day. You know, he's not decreasing the amount of work he's doing. He is remaining consistent or adding more,
Yeah, because
which is just so impressive. And
on top of the shows, he has a video out almost every day, which
mm,
is that's crazy. Like that is an absurd, and of course he has an editor, he has a team that helps him, but that's
hmm,
still an absurd amount of time he has to put into all of this, into writing things, into working with
yeah,
his sponsors and all of this different stuff. Which I don't know what sponsors he has, but
I don't know either. But and also talking about the team, that's another thing that takes time to build. You don't just find the perfect team member right off the bat. You don't find, these people who become an integral part of your life right off the bat. That's also something that took time, dedication, and a little bit of luck for a lot of content creators.
yeah, it's again as you grow, you will meet more people as
Mm,
you again put in effort, you can reach out to different people and meet new people, which I mean, I haven't done that because I'm sort of comfortable with where I'm at right now, but
oh yeah.
you can. That is always an option if you're like I want to meet these people, I want to learn how they do things, or I want to maybe collab with this person. You should do that
Yeah.
because you want to, not for the idea of, oh, well, if I use this person, I'll get about this much bigger. That's a
Hmm.
dumb idea. Don't do that. Don't be
Hmm.
stupid and don't be that selfish. Be better than that. Understand that everyone is out here trying to make it, and
Hmm.
it's possible for everyone to make it their own way,
Yeah.
but there's so much that you have to put into this, and so much just time and dedication mostly, that
Hmm.
if you really want to do this, you have to care.
So we're talking a lot about all the struggles. We're talking about how much you need of dedication to get through this. Um, are there any like specific struggles you went through that like I don't know that maybe you'd want to talk about of like realizing this is a major hurdle in order to start my content creation?
Honestly, for me, the hardest thing was first, and I'll say more than just this one thing, but first, just pressing that go live button. And one thing that this is for streamers specifically is if you're using Streamlabs or you're using OBS or whatever you're using to stream, turn your viewer count off. It
Mm.
is because it is so incredibly demoralizing when you look up
Yeah.
at your viewer count and it's zero. And like
Mm.
that hurts, but it also, a lot of people have this idea that if it's zero, you don't need to talk, you don't need to do this or like interact with things,
Mm.
which is bad. Don't do that because
Yeah.
that takes a long time to refresh. It takes like 3 or 4 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
really?
yeah, it takes a
Wow.
while. So that's 3 or 4 minutes where someone could be watching your stream and you're just silent because you don't think there's anyone there. But there could be someone there and you'll see it flash one for like that couple minutes that they watch, but they're going to leave. They will leave
Hmm.
so quickly because they don't see anything worth staying for.
Yeah.
But past that, because that was definitely something hard for me to do because I want to see how many people are in my stream, But even now, I think it's better to turn it off because it doesn't matter how many people are. If people are in chat, I'm going to talk to them, but I don't care how many people are watching because no matter what, I'm still streaming.
Mhm.
After that, it's probably creating the other things outside of just streaming. Like I need to actually do things on Twitter. I should make an Instagram. I want to make a blog. Doing this
Mhm.
podcast with you. I'm
Yeah.
so happy because I've wanted to do a podcast for a while. This is something I like, just being able to sit and talk about different things and challenges and ideas.
Uh-huh.
But like I had this idea that there were these people who I would do it with, and there were people who would help me along the way. And I understand that they may not be the people to help me with it. And
Mhm.
when I talked to you about it, I immediately went, yes, Anthony is the person I want to do this podcast with. I know it's going to be fun. It's going to be quirky. It's going to be weird. We're going to talk about all these different things, and people are going to go, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. We're
But
just gonna be ourselves in the
exactly,
end.
exactly. We are ourselves because, and it's so funny because our friend group, when when
We're
we're
just absolute losers.
yeah, but like when we're in the friend group,
Uh-huh.
we are weird. We are
Yeah.
incredibly strange. Everyone, I think they all think we have a thing for each other sometimes, which is fine. It's okay. That's not a problem. But
Just part of being a bro.
but when it's just like you and me, we actually like have these really good conversations. We have in-depth conversations, and we don't act as stupid as we usually do
Yeah.
around other people. But like
Well, we probably get more deep than anyone wants to listen to us
no,
talk.
all of them would tell us to shut up if they heard us. But like I that was the other hard thing is finding the right people for you because there
Uh-huh.
are people who I'm happy are helping me with my stream. I'm helping with
Yeah.
me with all this stuff. And I want them to continue to be a part of this because they're great people, but there's also people who I have met in the past and I'm happy that they are not part of this journey for me because I
Mhm.
don't think it would be beneficial to me. I think that it would actually like hurt me mentally or
Mhm.
emotionally to continue having them in a part of this journey,
Mhm.
which is a hard thing to recognize is that
That
I
is very hard to recognize.
it's so hard to say like honestly, I don't think you're good for me anymore. I don't think that
Uh-huh.
you're helping me improve anymore as a person. And that's not saying
Yeah.
everyone needs to help you improve
Yeah.
as a person. It's okay to have people who you literally just mess around with and have a
Oh
good time.
yeah.
That's it.
Well,
Sometimes that's
messing
all you
around
need.
and having a good time is improving yourself as a
Yeah,
person.
it helps your
It's
mental
character
health.
development.
Yeah, character
It's mental
development.
health, character development, whatever you want to call it.
It's a filler arc. Come on, guys. Um,
I do agree with you there that the people you surround yourself with can help define who you are
mhm.
so much. Like if oh my gosh, I was such an idiot in high school. Like I don't know how I got through, but I started surrounding myself with people who were smarter than me
Mhm.
and people who still enjoyed themselves, right?
Mhm.
That's another key is that I surround myself with people I actually enjoyed being around who are also like a positive influence on me.
Mhm.
It does like the people you surround yourself with do reflect onto you at a certain point.
Mhm.
Your identity going back to perception, your identity starts to be formed around your perception of reality and your perception is based off of what you're seeing and that's the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, and
It can change your mind state so much.
off completely off of that. That is such a good point. And with widening or broadening our perceptions, surround yourself with people who you may not agree with.
Yeah,
That's
that's true.
it is, and like sometimes it's not fun. You
Yeah.
don't always want to have to hear the things they say because sometimes you're like,
Yeah.
that's not an
Uh-huh.
opinion that I think you should have. But
Yeah.
where it comes in handy is you may not see things the way they do, and that may be bad.
Yeah.
Because if you can go, oh, well, this is how you're looking at it, so maybe other people see it that way too. Yeah, you're right. Because more than just that one person thinks that way.
That's very true. That's a really good point. I would say you and me are very, how do I put this? Agreeable people. We like to agree. We like to, uh, I, I kind of put it I've put it to you before that we are both like politically we're moderate, and as individuals we are moderate.
Yes, we are.
We like viewing perspectives. We like putting ourselves in the middle and listening to both sides. So that is a really good point. Obviously, there is merit to having beliefs, and just like sometimes having beliefs in yourself can just allow you to push through such difficulties, and it can allow you to be inspired in places you otherwise wouldn't have. So always like you should like fundamentally go to yourself for things. You shouldn't rely on other people for like gaining your identity, or well, you shouldn't rely on people for like figuring out your life, right? But
Yeah.
looking at other people's perspectives and seeing what they're going through, or seeing what they say is the right way to live, or yeah, just seeing people who aren't necessarily agreeable can
Yeah.
really help you in the long run.
And that's so huge, is this idea of self-reliance. And like, don't try and do everything alone. That's not going to solve your problems. But there are times where you can do it alone. You can do it by yourself. And that is such a good learning experience for you, is to say, I sat down and I did this and I'm proud of it. That is really what, for me, content creation has come down to, is where when I sit down and I stream for 2, 4, 8, however many hours, and like, especially when I cast Siege games, when I see like the people who have watched and the different things I've gotten from it, I'm like, wow, that feels good. And I did that on my own. I'm the one who decided I was going to do this. And like, I have
sometimes doing, sorry to cut you off, sometimes doing things on your own is the best growth experience. You continue with what you were saying though.
But I mean, obviously there's always going to be people who will help you along the way and are happy to, but don't take advantage of that. Don't take advantage of people just because well, they said they'll help me, they'll do this and this. No, you can do it on your own too. You can. It goes back to drive and motivation. If you say, I can do this, you will be able to. It's going to take time and effort, but you will be able to. But if you go, I don't think I can, it's too much work, you can't just give up. Like, there's no point in trying something if you're already telling yourself you can't. You're going to fail.
Yeah. And I would say you saying just give up is also, in a way, it's like also saying to you guys, like, or just commit,
Exactly.
like either
make
give
up your
or
mind.
commit, like, not to get, this is like going to get super nerdy, but like to quote Yoda, bro,
Oh my gosh.
do or do not, there's no try. There's no trying at something. If you're trying, then you're not. You're really not. If you're half-assing something, what's the point? Just go into it or don't. Find something. If this isn't the thing for you, find something else that is.
And like, I think that's a beautiful spot to start wrapping this up with our wonderful Yoda quote.
That is a wonderful spot.
It's really like, if you think that you want to do content creation and this is something that you care about, and again, this goes for more than just streaming or uploading to YouTube. This goes for art or writing and music, social media, influencing, all this stuff. If it's something that you want to do, put in the effort. Take the time to really learn how to do it. Do it the right way. Don't just sit here and go, oh, well, if I post once a month, everything's fine. No, that doesn't work for everyone. And it's most likely not going to work for you. You have to take the time to say, this is me. This is who I want to be and what I want to do. So I'm going to do it. Not I might, not maybe tomorrow. It's I will do it today because I have the time and I'm going to try.
Hey, Josh, I'm feeling motivated. Let's go. Let's make some content.
Let's go.
Let's go.
But with that final wrap up, I would like to say thank you all for tuning in to this podcast. We are more than happy to have you. I hope you enjoyed and you were able to take something from this. We hope you learned a little bit. I know we did sort of
Yeah, we are
roundabout
all,
multiple things, but that's
yeah,
okay.
we're all about just sharing our experiences, our ideas, and some thoughts, you know. And I hope you guys take something from it. If there's anything to be gained from it, I think
That's
there's good value here.
that is the hope. And
Yeah.
with that, we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you again next week for our next Fireside Chat.
Bye.
Bye.